Well, hi everybody, this is Angelo Quinones saying you reach I Am Ministries. I Am Ministries is designed to give you dependable and accurate answers that come straight from God's holy and inspired word, the Bible. Pospati, by the way, how's it going? Pospati. Bo means how. Pos, actually, P-O-S or P-Omega S, P-Omega Sigma. And I am exhausted. I just carried my baby. My baby is like, I think she's about, I would say, I don't know how, maybe like a good 20 something pounds, and she's only a year and 10 months. She's very, very heavy. I just guessing, I don't know, it's like 16 kilos here in the Philippines. And I'm not even a Filipino. I was born in the United States of America, and I was born again also in the United States of America. But I'm happy to be here in the Philippines, but it's a hard life sometimes, It's not for everybody. Let's just put it like that now. Now, I want to study how to break up the word stasetai. Okay, stasetai. Why? Well, this word appears in Micah and could be a very good answer to something that they give you. Okay, in Micah chapter 4, meaning so-called Jehovah's Witnesses. Okay, so that's why I'm getting to the full Greek construction in the Greek Septuagint and also in this text. And I was checking it out, and it's the same Greek word. It just has a preposition attached to it, ana, which means up, like that. So they just attach a preposition to it, and they're saying what? So we're all set. Okay, now let's get to the verse. Let's get to the text, verse 24 of the Gospel Kata Ioannim. Okay, the Gospel according to John. Okay, Kata with the accusative case, which has to do with limitation. It's the case of limitation. Okay, as to extent. Just read, Acts chapter 22, verse 9. You see what I mean? The extent of the hearing, the limitation of the hearing, And so this is the deal. So let's get to it. It says over here, Martha said to him, okay, so that's probably out told in Greek, but we'll check it out. Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection. Greek word in the resurrection, Greek word probably anastasis. They're on the last day. Okay, and let's just throw in there what Jesus said. One of his 9 I am sayings in this gospel. I am something. He said I am more than 9 times, but I'm just saying. Jesus said, our blessed Lord said, okay, Jesus said to her, and that's probably I'll take, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, capital M, meaning Christ, he who believes in me will live even if he dies. Verse 26. And everyone who lives and believes in me will never die. And he asked her a question, do you believe this? It's a very good question. Do you believe it? Right. Now, first of all, Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in the anastasis in the resurrection. Okay? I can't wait to put the battle of the resurrection there. The Christian Research Institute, a long time ago when it was really great. Now it's not. But the Christian Research Institute interviewed Norman Geisler. And it was just an incredible interview. And over there, he in DVD or CD, cassette, he actually dimes on so-called Jehovah's Witnesses or JWs beautifully according to the resurrection or their lack of understanding of it. So again, it says over here, and this is our text, verse 24. And I want to look at the word, okay, he will rise, okay? But anyway, it says over here, Martha said to him, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection on the last day. Okay, she's saying, no, he's not going to rise now. Okay, it's going to take the last day. It's going to take what's going to happen on the last day to finish the deal. Okay. Now, I want to look at the Greek word. Okay. And I better do it like this, okay, because some people may not know Greek. So I better get into the English instead of just reading it in a plain Greek app, okay? So So that's Timothy. So let's poke the bear. Man, my baby's heavy. I mean, I love my baby, but I walked about a mile just now to try to get a load for our phone, me and my wife's phone, and to our chagrin, we didn't get it. It was down or something like that. That's the thing about the Philippines, you know. If you don't have a good plan on your phone, you have to depend on loads and things like that, and you know, it's very uncomfortable sometimes. You know, like I said, it's not for everybody. The Philippines is not for everybody. No joke, guys. You have to come prepared mentally, spiritually. As I get the verse over here, verse 24, and physically, you have to get the right clothes and stuff like that, or whatever the case may be. But anyway, that's for another time, another tutorial. Okay. And it says over here, lege, says to him, auto. And Hey, and then Martha's name. So let's look at this construction here. Says is you know the paradigm. I believe it goes lego, leges, lege, then legamen, legate, and you know the deal. So the thing is that over here, this is I believe this is third person. Okay, lege. Spelled out capital lambda, epsilon gamma, epsilon iota, or lege. Okay. Now nowadays it'll be pronounced legi, but you know that's modern Greek though. To him will be auto. Okay, that's a third person personal pronoun from the autos paradigm. You know the paradigm: autos, autu, auto. This is in the dative case: auton, and then autoi, auton, autois, and autus. Okay, third person personal pronouns. You know he. Now, now it can be translated this one at times also, but you know. That's another subject. And then it has hey, that's not translated, Martha. And the Greek word for Martha is Martha. Okay, Martha. Mu, sometimes pronounced mu, nowadays pronounced me, but it's still an M altogether. And then alpha with the Q, so that's ma. Okay, and then ro is actually mar. Okay, because that's you know that's the and then the data goes with the alpha. Martha. Okay, Martha. So that's a mu, alpha, rho, theta, nowadays called theta, and then another alpha. Okay? I know, and that's oida. Okay? I know that, and that's hati. He will rise. Okay? He will rise again, it says over here. Ana stesetai. That's the word that I want to look at. That's the word in the Greek Septuagint. Stesetai. Not the ana. The ana's not there in what is it? Verse 3 of chapter 5 of Micah. Yeah, ana's not there. The preposition is not there, but it's here. But I mean, you know, you could break it apart. Ana and then stesetai. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Okay. Now this is in the future tense. Okay, so I'll get to that in a second. Let me just give it to you like this. Lego blocks. Remember you used to play with Lego blocks? Or those ABC blocks, you know, you put them side by side like that, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, or whatever, you make up a what and stuff like that. Make believe that a verb is, forget about the ana for now. And it looks like a V, ava, but it's believe me, it's an N. It's a nu like in it's a nu like in Nancy. So it's a alpha nu alpha. Forget that for now. For now, because I want to concentrate in the word rise. Okay. The first thing I want to say that before we get to the blocks, you know, the imaginary blocks I want to put in your mind. The he does not come from the verb, okay? You get it from the context, okay? If it's talking about Lazarus dying, you know, that he died, well, she's talking about him. Not she or it will rise, but he will rise, okay? So that's a he. So in the treatment of your verb, in the translation of it. You're going to say he will rise because that's in the context. A he is dead. A he will rise, according to Martha, at the last day. But we all know that it happens sooner. And it's going to happen again, as a matter of fact, though. So the he does not come from the verb, the personal ending. Okay, tie. It does not come from that. Okay, it does not. It's a third person personal ending, but there's no gender in these verbs. Okay, there's no gender. The only gender that you see, okay, like I say, the only gender that you see, but I'll just pick a couple of this. It really is in pronouns. Okay, you got other words, of course, that has gender in it, but I'm saying that there is no gender in first person personal pronouns and second person personal pronouns. What I'm talking about? Well, I and we and all the rest of it, that doesn't have any gender. It's just number and case. And then you, okay, and you, I mean, second person personal pronouns, asusu soy says, stuff like that, that doesn't have any gender. Now, it's only when you get to the third person personal pronouns, and we see one right here, auto, okay, to him, well, that has gender. That's in the masculine construction. And the relative pronouns has gender. Okay, like has and then hey. Okay, has. I mean, that has a gender. Okay, has, who, ho, and a han, or hoi, hon, hois, and whos. This is in the masculine construction. That has gender. And then your kenas, demonstrative pronoun, that has gender. Okay, you got the masculine and feminine for that. Your hutas paradigm, that has gender. Okay, hutas is masculine, and then you got the gender side of the pool. So, and then your articles, that has gender, and you can use it, for like that one and stuff like that, almost like a kenas. You know what I'm saying? So that has gender. But I'm just saying the end of these verbs is a personal ending, but the person does not have any gender. You have to get that from the context. Okay? I'm just trying to tell you that. Well, where's he? Well, he is not in the what itself. It's not in the what. It's not in it. It's not in the stem. It's not in the future tense formative. It's not in the connecting vowel. It's not in the personal ending. It's nowhere to be found in the verb. So I just want to let you know that. Okay? So we got that out of the way. Now we come to the blocks. We come to the Lego, or whatever the case may be, whatever you want to play with. Okay? So let's say if it's Lego and it's just like side by side, sort of set of up and down, the ones that we used to play with. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they have side stuff, also windows in the house and doors and stuff like that. Okay? So I mean, let's see if you're going side by side. Sideways, and then you're putting your blocks, and then you're connecting it to a door, and whatever the case may be. Even though I think the door is up and down, basically you don't connect it like sideways. So I don't think that that's gonna work. But just imagine that Lego, can click sideways, and probably the new Lego blocks does do that. So let's use the modern sense of it all, to placate the modern Greeks, Stasetai, well, you have the stem, and there's a letter there that lengthened to another letter, the eta. Okay, wasn't there originally. Okay, so you have the sigma, the S, and then the T, and then the E, but that sort of E wasn't there in the original stem. Okay, so but you have it now, so you have the stem stay. And then let me look at the acute markers to see if there's any acute markers there. Okay, stay, and then you have the. Now, how you say will in Greek? Well, what you do in certain instances, okay, because it's just sometimes it's just not a sigma, it's just not an S, it's other things, okay. Sometimes it's a PS in there, and sometimes it's a KS in there, and sometimes there's no S in there. It's a liquid future. But anyway, like in a liquid future, what is to be found and recorded in. I will raise it up again. I mean, that's in around verse 19 of chapter 2 of this gospel. Okay, Gospel of John. Okay, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again. I will raise. I mean, that's a liquid future, I believe. There's no S or nothing like that. Now, let me just say this before we get into this tense formative sigma. I think that it was chosen. Remember that these letters mean something. For example, alpha means rising. Theta means in and of itself divine. Beta means nowadays called vita. Vita. In and of itself, that means basis, sort of like a foundation, you know. And then that's just so the sigma. What does that mean? And why was it used? Well, I think it was used for the future, transformative. You know, when in English, if I will go to the, if you're gonna say you will go to the store, and that's future, I will go to the store. I will go to the store. Okay, so you just put the word will in there. But in Greek, it's not as simple as that. It's simple, but that's after you have it in your memory. To us, will, that's very simple because that's what we speak. In Spanish, we say yo voy. Voy is the same thing as will. Yo voy a comer ahora. I will eat now. Yo voy a salir mañana. Voy, yo means, ego, I, right? Voy is will. Comer or eat, and later, whatever the case may be, matarde, whatever it is. For Spanish-speaking people like me, we say voy. That's our will. And English is will. Now for the Greeks, okay, they stuck a sigma or an S in the middle, basically around the middle, just say in the middle for now, of this Greek verb. And that's how you could tell that something is in the future tense. Now you have to be careful with that because you have, subjunctives with a sigma, and you have other words with a sigma, and there's no future in a subjunctive, and it's not in the future tense. Just because you're looking at something, it's just because you're looking at something with a sigma doesn't mean that it is in the future. You have to be careful with that. But if this is in the future, okay, look at the context, and he will rise. Well, that's in the future. That's in the future. It's not that he may rise, or whatever the case may be, whatever that spelling is going to be, is that he will rise. This is indicative. This is an indicative mood, okay? Mood of reality, projected reality anyway. Happens to be true, but I'm just saying that it's projected reality. He will rise up again. To add the word will in the deal, in the sentence, in the clause, in the word, they actually use the sigma, the S in Greek. Not a particular sigma though, not a capital sigma, not a. Well, I mean, in the manuscripts, in the ancient manuscripts, it was a capital sigma, but I'm just saying they didn't use one. Let's just stay safe to say they didn't use a final sigma. Okay, sigma at that time of these early manuscripts, P66, P75, and the Aleph manuscript and the Vaticanus manuscript. I mean, you're talking about something that looks like a C. It doesn't even look like this at all. Okay, in your Haas. Relative pronoun deal found and recorded in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verse 16, even though, who cares? The Has refers back to God anyway in verse 15. So God was manifested in the flesh, according to verse 15. The U is found twice there in the text. But anyway, so I'm just saying that you have to get used to it. A different kind of sigma was used, a different style, different form. It was a sigma anyway, but it was a different kind. It looked like a C at that time. But now we have a sigma that looks like, the S in the New York Mets uniform. Now, I'm not a Met fan, okay, I'm a Yankee fan. But I like to use 2 letters on their home jersey when they have the, the stripes, the pinstripes and stuff like that, the one that they use in that World Series. I was a Met fan in 1986. I just, and I was watching a World Series game today and yesterday, the Game 6 and then Game 7 today from the 1986 World Series, and then they were using the Mets, there's like orange or red lettering. It's kind of like slanted to a little bit like to 230, And I like to say that the mu, when it's small, looks like the M in the Met uniform. And the sigma looks like the S at the end of the word Mets, and then they have your sigma. It looks like that. It looks like that, basically. Like that, a little bit. You understand what I'm saying? Well, let's break into this study a little bit and add this little commentary. Why is this so important? Well, first of all, the JWs like to say that Jesus had a God even in the Old Testament. That's not true. He did not have a God. The word Tina is not even found or recorded nowhere in John 1:1 A, B, or C. Logos had some kind of subordination or adoration or something. Was less. I hate to use the word lesser, but lesser than God. In that sense that I just used, the Tina hasn't been used. It wasn't used there. Okay, if it was used, then that's the deal. But there's no subordination or their inferiority or something like that to Theos, meaning, Logos was never inferior to Theos, okay, at all. Okay? Excuse me, as I sneeze. Maybe that's the King James only curse. Okay, that's what I'm saying. At least I can still talk. Now, the greater, idea, that came after the incarnation, not before. But, we're not talking about the natures of Christ or the deity of Christ right now, but I'm just saying that we have to be ready to use the setai. Why? Well, this word, okay, he will rise, well, that's in the future. And so, if they use Micah chapter, I believe it's chapter 5, verse 3, right? Well, they can't use it because that it says that he has a God in verse 4, but that's in the future according to this, because that said that he has a God after that he will rise. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So that's just the deal. So it's very important. It's not only, we don't only use that. We can use Zechariah chapter 3 verse 8 and tell the witnesses that he has a God according to servanthood. Quote, my servant the branch, end quote. Okay, he has a God, yes, but according to servanthood, not according to creaturehood. That's a big difference. We have a God according to everything, okay, like that, servanthood, creaturehood, but not Jesus. Jesus doesn't have a God according to creaturehood because he wasn't a creature. He was never a creature in any space and time. Even the flesh that he had, that he tabernacled with, and we beheld his glory, that was made also by Logos, okay? He made all things, Greek word panta, including the flesh that he dwelt in the world. So it says over here, he will rise. Getting back to the sigma. So they stuck an S in the middle of that. What? Okay, so you have the stem, sigma tau eta, and I already mentioned, that this eta wasn't there originally. Okay, but it lengthened another letter. Okay, it lengthened another letter. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's just a deal. And so, excuse me. So, the sigma was used to point the future tense. Now remember, you have the future tense, okay? You have the imperfect tense, the perfect tense, the aorist tense, okay? You have all these tenses. Imperfect, perfect, future, aorist. And so there are signs that you can see, and my baby's crying, so I'm gonna have to stop the study. There are signs that will point certain things in a word or in a clause or in a verse that will point you to certain things at how or what is working in the text. Okay? There are clues. So we have different clues. And it's not even a clue, it's a sign. The sign of the future tense in this situation is a sigma. And I already said that it probably was chosen because it means to synchronize. It has to do with time. Okay? Synchronize. That's what it means. So I think that that's why it was used. Okay. Incidentally, parakisma, the actual last letter, not now, but before in classical times, parakisma actually meant pregnancy, and it wasn't even in the alphabet in John's time, and that's why he didn't say alpha. That when God was speaking, I'm the alpha and the parakisma. He didn't say that because it wasn't there. But there were different letters, okay, that also had different meanings that were in the pool of the Greek alphabet, and they just were dropped off. Okay, they were just dropped off. Parakisma was one of them, and it had the value, numerical value of 900. So that was the last one, not Omega, that has the numerical value of 800 though. Parakisma has 900, so that's just the deal. So you have that. Now let's go and poke the bear and check my Greek out. Okay, let's see over here first of all. I think it has an F over there, and so you see future here. Indicative, and I already mentioned that, and in the middle. Okay? It has to do with, let me just put everything there because it doesn't say it here. Future has to do with, well, it does say it over here, I think. Yeah, tense. The tense is the future tense. The mood is, this is in the indicative mood, the mood of reality. And the middle has to do with voice. Active voice, middle voice, passive voice, and all that other stuff. The beautiful stuff recorded in the manual grammar of the Greek New Testament. I mean, the passive with direct agent, Acts chapter 22, verse 30, that the Apostle Paul received the accusation of the Jews. He did nothing. That's not what was recorded in John chapter 1, verse 3, right? Neither is the passive with impersonal agent, found and recorded in Ephesians chapter 2, around verse 8 and 9. That's not in John 1:3. You have the passive with intermediate agent that actually Logos did some stuff. He was the agent used in creation. Okay, he was the tool. Okay, so the creation came from also Logos. Okay, the Father created nothing without Logos, and Logos created nothing without the Father. It goes hand in hand. You can't say that the Father only was the creator. No. He created nothing in this world. Around whatever universe you're talking about, the Sombrero Galaxy, I don't care what it is. You understand what I'm saying? They created nothing without each other. Nothing. Not one thing was created apart from the entire Trinity. Okay, you understand what I mean? Now, so we have that settled. Let's look at the semantic pool. 450 is attached to this Greek word, and you may say, why is it G and not just Strong's? Well, because it has to do with the Greek. I think that's what it means. 450, Strong's number 450. Now it's a GK number also. So this G over here is kind of tricky because it looks like the GK number, but it's not though. Okay, according to the two last names of the two people who made that system up. And let's look at the definition. It says over here to raise up. Okay, to raise up, set up, to rise from among the dead. Okay, among the dead. Necron is a Greek word for dead, by the way. To arise, okay, appear, and that's just a deal. So you see the semantic range of this Greek word, okay, anastasetai. But let's look at the argument of the witnesses before we get into what we can argue back with. Okay, now I want to be very sure of this Greek word stasetai. Why? Well, because it's going to save us a lot of problems. Because they say that he has a God in verse 4 of chapter 5 of Micah, and that's not the case because it's in the future. And they're going to say, you could do that with the English. You could just say will. You could just say, when you're reading the text, will, recite it, or whatever the case may be. Or have them read it. Will is good enough. But if they say, what is the not the original, because the Greek Septuagint is a translation of the Hebrew, but you can say, well, give me some, some information, and then that's where you can go to the Greek Septuagint, and let's go also to the Hebrew. Now, thank God in the Greek Septuagint is there. There are things that are not there sometimes that are really, 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 I forgot the one that was, that wasn't there that I was just trying to see. Oh, yeah, Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 10 is not there. I mean, the Lord is the true God. That's to the chagrin of the witnesses. That's not there, though, in the Greek Septuagint. Now, it's in the Hebrew, but shucks, we can't. I wanted to see it in the Jeremiah 10:10 in the Greek Septuagint, and alas, I mean, I couldn't find it, though. But, I mean, we have the Hebrew, and that suffices for now. You know what I'm saying? But before we get into the argument, let's look at this, according to the text, okay? So let's get there. And that's iota alpha is 11, and so that's 4. Then it says over here, lege, okay? It says over here, okay? Lege auto Martha. Oida hati anasthesetai. Ente anastase. En te, and that's in the dative case, that article, te escate, and that's last. Okay, that's also in the dative case. Okay, you see the iota underneath the eta there, and when you see that, okay, in a noun, and I say that very deliberately, okay, in a noun, well, that's in the dative case that what, okay, anyway, the preposition en takes the dative. So, and it has the article over here also. And that would be the same article if it was necessary to have prepositional phrases with an article. And that's not necessary in John 1:1a. It's still definite. Arche or archi. It doesn't have the te or the t. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? But anyway, and alas, okay. And it says, so the day is Hemera, okay? Hemera, day, okay? Yom, probably in the in the Jewish New Testament, Yom. Right, now, so let's get to the argument, okay? In Micah, let's go to the NASB because it was one of the most literal translations. It's one of the best in the market. And so let's get there to the NASB. Excuse me, guys. I have a very bad cold. And so let's get to the Micah, verse that they like to use, and it's right here, Micah, right? Excuse me, guys. And I think it's in chapter 5, so I hope I'm right. And it's probably in verse 4, so let's check it out. Remember that the Greek Septuagint is not aligned with the English, or the English is not aligned with the, with the Greek Septuagint. It's actually the all the way around. Sometimes. And it says over here, and he will arise, and shepherd his flock. In the speaking Hebrew almost, in the oh man, in the strength of the Lord, in the majesty of the name of the Lord, his God, and so on, so on, so on. But you see, the Jehovah's Witnesses will try to prove from this text that he has a God in the Old Testament. Now, if he had a God in the Old Testament, well, there's a lot of subjection going on but that's not the case. Why? Well, you can tell the witnesses this, just by using the English, and he will arise, okay, and shepherd his flock, okay. I keep on reading it like Hebrew, like a cough or something like that, okay, final cough, okay. He will. Now, that's the deal. He will. Now, look at verse 2 though, in the same chapter. Look at verse 2. This is very striking. Let me see. It's so striking, I can't find it. Okay. All right. Now, this is verse 2. It's a long verse. But as for you, Bethlehem, Ephratah. Now, if you want to go to Bethlehem, be careful. There's 2 Bethlehems, okay? I'm just saying. If you're going to the Holy Land, there's 2 Bethlehems. Be careful. It says over here, too little to be among the clans of Judah. From you, one will go forth, okay, from me to be ruler, not the beginning though, ruler in Israel. His goings, it says over here, forth are from when he was a creature, when he was created by me. Does it say that? Are from long ago, from the days of eternity. That ransacks eternity. That's it. He has no beginning. Read also Hebrews chapter 7, verse 3. He has no father, pater, no mother, mater, no beginning of days, nor end of life. You see? That's just the deal. And that's the deal all across the board. And he has an indestructible life. Verse 16 of that same chapter. Putting to shame the teaching of the witnesses that his soul was destroyed. You see the Hebrew word ara also in Isaiah 53, verse 12. And the same word ara, okay, ara, A-R-A, okay, probably like aleph with the comments and ro with the comments and then probably a hey or something like that, or ayin, whatever the case may be. And you're going to see it also in Genesis chapter 24, verse 20. Where Rebecca poured, that's the word, poured, out the pitcher and gave water to the camels to drink. And the water wasn't destroyed just because it was poured out. You see how the witnesses like to use the word, he emptied out his soul, poured out his soul into death, and so the soul was destroyed. No. It doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It says it's the same word, found and recorded, ara, in verse 12 of chapter 53 of Isaiah. And that's found and recorded in Genesis chapter 24, verse 20. But I have a separate study on ara, means to pour, empty, to bear, like that, whatever the case may be, naked, Okay? It says over here, Bethlehem is here. Okay? Bethlehem. Now, this him having a God was after the Bethlehem passage, or not before. And even if it was, you have to be very careful with that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Okay? I mean, nature 2 is found and recorded in verse 3 of Romans chapter 1, and then nature 1 is recorded in verse 4. so sometimes things are not in the normal sequence, Like in 2 Corinthians chapter 8, verse 9, you got nature 1 and nature 2 in order. And also you have it in Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7. It's in order. And also, Chrysa and Genas, that's in order. Nature 1 and 2, or nature A and B, that's in complete order in Revelation chapter 22, verse 16. But anyway, I mean, Romans chapter 1, verses 3 and 7 breaks up the set. But who cares? Okay? But Bethlehem comes before. You can tell the witnesses. Now, we are hopefully experts in Stasetai. Before I go to the Septuagint, a copy of it anyway, let's look at the word again. It says over here, lege auto, says to him, hey, Martha, I know, oida, that, in Eshati, he will rise again. Anastesetai. Anastesetai. Okay? Now, before we get to the Greek Septuagint, I'm right under. Remember that we read Greek from left to right, never from right to left, unless you're parsing a word or something like that. But you don't even need to do it from right to left. You could do it however you please. According to, if your teacher wants it, from right to left, okay, fine. But check with her or him, okay? Okay? I think I said okay twice, but that's okay. It cancels each other out. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. He will rise again. Okay? He will rise again. I already said that the ana's there, that preposition. Okay, fine. But stasetai is spelled out sigma tau eta, sigma epsilon tau alpha iota. Now, if you want the modern version of this whole thing, it'll be ana nu, it'll be ana ni. I'm sorry, it'll be alpha ni alpha, sigma tough eta, sigma epsilon tough alpha iota. Okay, so those picky people out there, he doesn't know how to say the modern way. Okay, fine. I just placated, most of the people out there. Okay. So the word, okay, stesetai, okay, because the stress, they keep marker and all that, so pointed to 7 o'clock, okay, fine. Sigma tau eta, sigma epsilon tau alpha iota, to mention it in the biblical sense of the word. Now, since we're ready with that, since we're armed with stesetai, we're armed with a word that has a will in it. Not a will like I will go, I will that you, like Jesus said, I will that you be clean, like that. You know what I'm saying? That's my will. I'm not talking about that kind of will. I'm talking about the will in the future. I will go to lunch. I will go to school. Okay? That sort of a will. That you're putting something in the future. I will jump up and down. I will clap my hands. I will, like that. That sort of will. You understand what I'm saying? Same spelling, but I'm talking about the future tense. Will. I will cash my check. And I'm still waiting for my stimulus, by the way. I mean, these Democrats. I'm a Democrat myself, but goodness gracious, it's just as bad as the Republicans. Joe Manchin is a joke. But anyway, that's just a deal. But before we wait for that, let's go to the Greek Septuagint, because now we should be, experts in stesetai, right? Okay, well, let's see. Let's see. Now, remember, I said that that's in the future. And he has a God in the future. Okay? Now, before I get there, let me, because I did mention something that I want to mention again. Zechariah chapter 3 and verse 8. Okay? Let's check that out. Because I settled the issue of how Jesus has a God. Okay? I already settled the issue. All right, and let's just see Zechariah, and let's poke the bear, poke him right in the eye, and that's just it, and that's it. Is that over here? Now listen, Joshua, okay, the high priest, you and your friends who are sitting in front of you, indeed, they are men who are a symbol. For behold, I am going. I am going to bring in my servant, the branch. You see? My servant. The branch, my servant. That's how he has a God, according to servanthood. That settles the issue, that settles the scar. That's it. That's how you shut up the witnesses. Listen, I used this for Mark, in a debate that I had with Mark from Missouri. I had over 100, thank God. I mean, I have over these debates and campaigns. And once I used Zechariah chapter 3, verse 8, he never bothered me again in that sense of being, so happy of using it. For a while, but then he got back to use it, so I have to admit. But anyway, for the meantime, he didn't use the my God argument for a while. And then he started to use, Hebrews chapter 1, verse 9, and, Revelation chapter 3. But be careful with Revelation chapter 3. He says that he's the Amen. What's that? Well, read Isaiah chapter 65, verse 16. And the God of Israel is called the God of the Amen. Amen, the God of truth. But Amen is the Hebrew word there, and Amen was used, okay, all right. Hey, Amen was used and recorded in Revelation chapter 3, verse 14. Okay? So this idea, before you get to, he's a beginning and stuff like that, read the NIV's translation of that. He's a ruler, okay? And it says ruler over here in the Bethlehem passage in verse 2 of Micah. Well, not over here, but anyway, I mean, when I was in Micah, it said it in verse 2. In chapter 5 of Micah, it says that he will rule. He'll be the ruler. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you want to go to an Oxford Dictionary of Greek, well, then you're going to see arche in the semantic pool, and that has a semantic range. That what? So you're going to see its various meanings, and it's not only beginning, but it's also ruler in the Oxford Dictionary of Greek. Well, he has a God according to servanthood, okay? Not according to adoption, not according to creaturehood, nothing like that, but according to servanthood, okay? Let's look under the hood, incidentally, of the Greek Septuagint, and let's go to, it says Genesis over here, though. I didn't lock the door. Wait, I have to go and open up. I didn't lock the door. Oh, no, it probably was locked when we went out. Wait, hon. I'm running. And I'm doing a Bible study, but I'm not turn on the light. It was locked because you didn't unlock it. Be careful. Careful over here. Careful over here. That's my baby and my wife, Anna Devane and Risa Tapaya Quinones. That's just a thing. At least I got halfway through my study without being interrupted by these folks. You know what I mean? Yes. Okay. So I'll turn on the light, honey, for her so she won't be scared. Even though she's with Daddy. I got Anna Devane's name from General Hospital, of all things. I mean, goodness gracious. All right. Scorpio, Sean Donnelly, like that. Frisco Jones. Felicia, the deal. I don't know how anybody could call their son Frisco. I don't understand. All right. So let's go to chapter 5 and verse 3. And you're going to see the word there, he will rise, stesetai. Okay? Kai, yeah, this is it right here. Now, remember what I said about stesetai. You're not going to see the word he there. You're going to see it in the context. It's talking about the Messiah. The Messiah is masculine, right? He's a he. So then you put in your translation, he will rise. And then if it was talking about a woman, you say she will rise. You know what I'm saying? Okay? But you don't get, just in case the witnesses, the so-called Jehovah's Witnesses, they say, oh, well, there's no he there. Well, I mean, that's easy to prove. I mean, probably in their own translation, they have he anyway there in the text, though. Okay? All right, so that's just that deal. So over here it says, okay, kai, and that's the Greek word and for and over there anyway. Stesetai, he will rise, and, okay, it says on and on and on it goes. But let's concentrate on stesetai, okay? Will rise. Well, I gave you this, I already told you. I gave you the spelling, okay, it's stesetai, okay, and that's just the word is it now. It's right over here in verse 3. Now, it's in verse 3. Now, it wasn't verse 4 in the English text, but it's in verse 3 here, okay? So sometimes in the Greek Septuagint, which is a Greek translation of the Jewish scriptures, it's going to be different, okay? Just like verse 23 is really verse 22 from chapter 3, let us make man in our image. That's in verse 23 in the Greek Septuagint. Not in verse 22 like the English has it, what I'm saying? So over here it says, stesetai. Now what's that? Well, I already told you. Will rise. Okay? Now in the text where Martha was speaking, in John chapter 11 verse 24, it says, Anna stesetai. Okay? So that's the deal. Now I forgot if Anna means again or just up. But I forgot that. So check me out on that. But I think it might be again. But I forgot about that though. But nevertheless, the stesetai is here. And that means will rise. This is in the future. Well, how do you spell it? Well, you spell it like this. Stesetai. Okay, again. Stesetai. Now, again, why am I doing this? Well, now, Jehovah's Witnesses are going to try to say, well, Jesus had a God in the Old Testament. So he wasn't really God. He had a God, but he wasn't God. But this text is not saying that he had a God in the Old Testament. This God, this text, I should say rather, says that he will rise, and then after that it says that he's gonna his God and things like that. It's in the future. Now the future is already here. Okay, it already passed. This is a prophecy of Micah looking forward to the Mashiach, the Messiah. He's looking forward. Now we're looking back because the things already occurred. The things happened. Okay, you understand what I'm saying? So I'm just saying that Micah looks forward with the telescope of the Holy Spirit, right? And he sees that he's going to have a God. But that's to the future. That's in the New Testament, not in the Old. Okay? Not in the Old. Now, just because Jesus has a God, like I said before, doesn't mean that he's not God. He has a God according to servanthood. Okay? According to servanthood, he has a God. When he became man, then for the first time, he had a God. But he didn't have a God like we have a God. We have a God because he created us. Well, then the Father did not create Jesus at all. Okay? All right, now, so this is just a deal. So let's look at this word. Well, you can tell the witnesses that it's spelled out. Okay, STESETAI, or sigma, tau, eta, sigma, epsilon, tau, alpha, iota. The tau is a T. The eta is an E. It looks like an M, but it's an E. So you have to be careful in Greek. I mean, some letters are tricky. There's an N-looking letter that looks like an N, is not, is an E. There's a V-looking letter that's not a V, is an N. You understand what I'm saying? There's a W-looking letter, it's not a W, it's an O. Okay. There's a P-looking letter in Greek, it's not a P, it's an R. I mean, so that's just a deal. So, I mean, but there are letters that look like our letters. The K looks like a K, okay, fine. The T looks like a T, fine. The A looks like an alpha, fine. The sigma looks like an S, fine. The iota looks like an I, fine. The omicron looks like an O, fine. That's fine. Okay? The M looks like a mu, or the mu looks like a M, fine. Okay? It's fine. Okay, you understand? The S looks like an S. I hope I said that already. The U looks like a U, unless it's capitalized, So, I mean, it looks the same sometimes. Or you just have to, eat this for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, meaning you're Greek. Okay? And pray. Well, he will rise. So this is in the future. He will rise and shepherd my flock of sheep. Okay, he will. It's not that he has a God at this time of Micah. No, because Micah says even in English, he wasn't writing in English, but I'm just saying in our English Old Testament. Okay, will he will do this, he will do that. That's the future. If I say to my wife, I will go to the store tomorrow, does that mean now? No, that means tomorrow. But I think I have to go to the store anyway. I'm just getting ready for that. But I will go to the store tomorrow. That's in the future. Now, how do the Greeks, again, put a will inside their writings? Well, they put a little S in the verb. That's how they say will. They put a little sigma. Sometimes it's mixed with another thing. Okay, I understand. Sometimes it's not even a sigma at all. But sometimes to say will, they just put an S in a word, a verb. So setai, the sigma or the S in that word, rise, makes it will rise. The little S, put in a word. It molds it, it shapes it to the future tense. Now you can tell the witnesses that, he doesn't have a God in the time of Micah. That's a prophecy looking in the future, no pun intended, because I'm talking about the future tense, to the time of the Messiah's coming. And when he was born, and he took upon himself an additional nature, what I call nature B, or nature 2, when he became flesh, when he became man, when he walked around Jerusalem, or whatever he walked around, on. He became man, that's when he had a God, and not before. It says, enarchi enologos, kai halogos in prostanteon, kai theos enologos, or enarchi enologos, ke ologos in prostanteon, ke theos enologos. Okay? In the beginning was the Word. And the Word was with God. And the Word was God. He was only God. Jesus, when he was with God, meaning the Father, he wasn't the Father at the time, but he was only God. He was not man. Now, he became man in Bethlehem. Bethlehem, incidentally, means the house of bread. Beth means house, and Laham means bread. When he was born in Bethlehem, he was born with a birthday suit. What do you mean birthday suit? Well, everybody has a birthday suit. My baby has a birthday suit. What do you mean? Well, the body that you're born with is your birthday suit. That's your birthday suit, okay? You understand? That's your birthday suit. So Jesus, when he was born, I mean, he had skin, he had bone, he had teeth and stuff like that. And he became a man. He became a man. Why? Well, he became a man to be crucified for our sins and transgressions and crimes. Okay? So God could not be nailed upon a cross, but man could. So he became man for that. Okay? That's just all there is to it. Stesetai. Don't forget that word. Stesetai. He will rise. He will rise. And that's just the deal. Well, that's our study for now. So we learned actually that a Greek verb could come in, it comes in different parts. Well, you have the root of the word or the stem. Okay, stay. And then you have, to put the word will in, to put the will in there, you add an S, so you put the S there, sigma. And then you have a connecting vowel, just connect the sigma to the upcoming, final part of the word, which is tie. So you have setai. You see how it comes in different parts? And when you notice the parts of the verb, you notice the parts, you know the root of the word, if there's a tense formative there, sigma, pointing out the word will, and a little connecting vowel, and then a little personal ending that tells you either first, second, or third person like that, or whatever the case may be. Or the number, is it one person, is it two, like that? Is it one person, is it three? I mean, more than one, plural, okay? Less than two, singular. That's what our word can do. It comes in different parts. And when you're looking at it, you're parsing the word. That's what you're doing. You're breaking it up to its component parts. And you're looking at the stem. You're looking at the connecting vowel. You're looking at the future tense formative. You're looking at the personal ending. You're looking at all that. And then you make your translation. Okay? Now, our situation, when we want to tell the witnesses that this has a sigma, this has an S in the middle of the verb. And that's saying will in Greek. The little tiny S, and it's a word. That's not tie. Okay? It's telling you, okay, the second S, the second sigma, is telling you that the word is in the future tense. Okay? The future tense. It's not an aorist tense, a completed action. It's not an imperfect tense, a continuous action. It's in the future tense. He will rise. And remember I told you that the he comes from the context itself. This is Daniel Quinones giving glory to the God of Yisrael. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. And it means that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob are very much alive, or very much alive at the time of Jesus. And according to the context of the Bible, they're very much alive right now. Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So please leave a comment on the screen and let me know what you want to see next in the full Greek construction study, which I deal with all the verses that come into discussion when you're dealing with so-called Jehovah's Witnesses, JWs. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the study, and I praise God for it. Remember the Greek word, stesetai. He will rise. Stesetai. From this text and from John chapter 11, verse 24. Thank you.